Nigeria and the United States of America host virtual meeting of the Global Coalition to defeat ISIS. Nigerian Navy hands over barge to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Prime Minister Boris Johnson appoints Anne-Marie Trevelyan as UK's international champion on adaptation and resilience for the COP26 presidency. These and more on Panorama. I'm Najat Tijani. We'll be right back. Nigeria and the United States of America hosted a virtual meeting of the Global Coalition to defeat ISIS. A statement from the Office of the National Security Advisor indicates that coordinators of the national counter-terrorism units of the two countries co-chaired the meeting, attended by delegates from the 82-member Global Coalition drawn from the African Union, European Union, ECOWAS and G5 Sahel, among other international and regional organizations. The statement notes that the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, in a message expressed Nigeria's commitment to the global coalition against ISIS and other terrorist groups. Nigeria's leading role under President Muhammadu Buhari towards defeating terrorism in West Africa was commended at the global event. The Directorate of Defense Media Operation, DMO, says the air component of Operation Thunderstrike has neutralized several armed bandits in the Kwambana Forest area of Kaduna State. Defense Media Coordinator Major General John Enenche says the operation took place on 12th November 2020, sequel to reports that close to 100 bandits rustled a large number of cattle and other livestock from Nankolo and Machita villages. The bandits and the rustled livestock were subsequently spotted by a Nigerian Air Force aircraft on reconnaissance mission. A NAV attack helicopter engaged the target area, leading to the neutralization of several of the bandits. Meanwhile, the panel of inquiry on restitution for victims of police brutality, including the Lekki tollgate incident, has resumed sitting in Lagos with conspicuous presence of the two young members of panel whose absence had led to suspension of proceedings. Jennifer Igwe reports that the key parties in the Lekki tollgate incident and the Nigerian Army gave detailed presentation of their involvement in the shooting.
Presentation by Brigadier General Ahmed Taiwo of the Nigerian Army Intelligence Corps and Commander 81 Military Intelligence Brigade showed how hoodlums took over highways in Lagos, perpetrating crimes, burning police stations, including looting of arms and ammunition. He showed graphic videos of how policemen were overpowered, killed in very gruesome manners, including burning of their bodies and feasting on them by hoodlums. This series of events, according to him, made the governor of Lagos State to impose a curfew and call in the army.
The world over, it is the task of the armed forces to intervene when a situation overcomes the police and other paramilitary services.
The video also showed that although the soldiers fired gunshots, they were up in the air and not directly at protesters. After cross-examination by the counsel to the Lagos State government, Owoni Koko Abiodu, and counsel to 7 NSAS protesters, Olumide Fusika SAN, the chairman of the panel, Justice Doris Okuwobi, retired, adjourned the case for further hearing.
In the circumstance, further proceedings is adjourned to Saturday, 21st November 2020.
In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe, NTA News.
The age-long agitation for the establishment of community policing is gradually coming to fruition with the passing out of 1,195 special constables from the Police College, Kaduna. Francis Form reports.
These are not newly placed recruits. but the pioneer graduates of the community policing arrangement. After rigorous training in drill, basic police duties, concept of rule of law, community policing relations, intelligence gathering, and neighborhood policing, amongst others, they are ready for deployments to their communities in Zamfara State to complement the effort of the conventional police in the fight against crime and criminality.
The institutionalization of community policing is an affirmation of government's pragmatic effort at partnering with the communities in designing and executing community-based solutions to tackle crimes. May I therefore enjoin you to renew faith in yourselves, develop right attitude towards your new assignment.
These people are taken from the local governments, from the communities. I think they are the ones who know who the criminals are and where the crimes start from. So I think it's very, very important on that note that they will help out with the security as well.
Apart from this 1,195 graduates from Zamfara State, Minister of Police Affairs said there are other constabulary simultaneously passing out across the 13 police training centers in the country. In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the leadership of the National Assembly has indicated its commitment to improving the welfare of officers and men of the Nigerian Police Force to enable them perform their mandate optimally. The House leader and member representing Tudun Wada Doguwa Federal Constituency, Al-Hassan Ado Doguwa, stated this while donating 2 Toyota Hilux vans to the Kano Command of the Nigerian Police Force. Yahana Suhassan Barrow reports.
Falgora Forest covers an area of about 1,000 square kilometers and ties within 3 local governments in Kano State. The once peaceful settlement now faces security challenges ranging from kidnapping, armed banditry, and cattle rustling, which many attributed to its large and expanse of land as it borders 3 states of Kaduna, Bauchi, and Plateau. To therefore complement the efforts of the federal government and support the security personnel maintaining law and order in the area, the member representing the constituency at the National Assembly, Al-Hassan Ado Doguwa, donated Hilux to the Nigerian police, this in addition to motorcycles to enhance their operations.
These 2 Hilux you have seen and the motorcycles I've given them is my private and personal donation to the Nigerian Police Force, Doguwa Tudunwada Federal Constituency Divisions, because they are doing a lot for our people.
A very welcome development, and they are all the vehicles given to us, the one refurbished, and then by the various groups and society will all be put to use.
Ado Doguwa also implore well-meaning Nigerians and corporate organizations to support the initiative, maintaining that security is a collective responsibility. In Kano, Yahana Hassan Barrow, NTA News.
Meanwhile, a barge allegedly involved in illicit oil deals and seized by the Nigerian Navy may be forfeited to the federal government on conclusion of investigation. Commander Suleiman Mohammed disclosed this while handing over the barge to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in Rivers State. Jenny Bassi reports.
The barge, named MLJ Favor 1, was intercepted and seized by NNS Pathfinder patrol team on 13 October for suspected involvement in oil bunkering activities around Abisa Creek in Degema local government area of Rivers State. The barge is laden with unspecified volume of petroleum product suspected to be illegally refined automotive gas oil without any suspects. Handing over the barge to EFCC, Commander Suleiman Mohammed noted that Navy is continuing on its massive campaign to rid rivers waterway of crude oil theft, illegal oil refining, and pipeline vandalism.
Zero tolerance to crude oil theft, illegal oil bunkering, and other illicit activities within the maritime environment.
Receiving the badge, Deputy Detective Superintendent EFCC Hezekiah Lott said the anti-craft agency will investigate the allegation.
Obviously, there were no suspects arrested alongside the badge, but further investigations will be carried out. We're going to write to relevant agencies to know if the badge has been registered. If otherwise, it's going to be forfeited finally to the federal government.
The commander further enjoined those behind maritime crime to refrain from it, stressing that the Navy will not relent in its war against oil theft and related crimes. In Port Harcourt, Jenny Bassi, NTA News.
The Borno State government has launched a 25-year development plan framework as well as a 10-year strategic transformation initiative geared at restoring the lost glory of the state affected by the more than decade-long insurgency. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed launched the document, and Mohammed Goni reports.
The 25-year Borno State Development Plan is aimed at restoring the honor, dignity and prosperity of Borno State and to ensure that all citizens, including future generations, have access to basic necessities. It also incorporates a 10-year strategic transformation initiative with the objective of making the state self-reliant with over 70% productive population by 2030.
Today represents a unique milestone in the history of development of Borno State. Today represents the triumph of hope over hopelessness, confidence over pessimism, and optimism over despondency. Today, Borno State is standing once again on the threshold of history, ready to mobilize all resources at its disposal to overcome life's enduring challenges.
The governor, who stressed his resolve to rejuvenate the economy of the state, also announced that the state government will inject 50 billion naira into the economy to support farmers and small-scale businesses, and further reiterated his commitment to continue resettlement process, which will lead to closure of all IDP camps by 2021.
The 25-year development plan and 10-year strategic transformation initiative of Borno State cannot work alone. It has to work in tandem with the federal government of Nigeria's NTA 2021 to 2025 and 2026 to 2030.
It is because of this I encourage all the stakeholders to join their hands together to make sure that we transform our potentials to reality.
There were goodwill messages from the former Governor Kashim Shettima on behalf of the National Assembly, the United Nations, as well as Shehu Borno, assuring support to the success of the development plan. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
The Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, has launched the 2020-2021 dry season cropping in Calabar amidst the state of vandalization of property at the Cross River Basin Development Authority. Paul Abel reports.
The symbolic launching of the 2020-2021 dry season cropping, the minister encouraged staff of the Cross River Basin Development Authority not to be deterred by the mayhem on their facility, but that they should rather be resilient while hoping for better days ahead. The minister also speaks on the relevance and importance of the river basin authorities in the country.
The whole idea is not for river basins to be only generating internally generated revenue or to be operating like commercial agencies. The most important thing is how much they impact the farmers outside. What are they extending? What kind of techniques are they giving to the farmers? What kind of support are they giving to farmers?
While affirming the resolve to revitalize the river basins through agriculture, food security and integrated rural development, the minister promised to assist the authority to get them up again. It took time to go around the various departments and facilities vandalized by the suspected hoodlums during the national crisis that engulfed the organization. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
Similarly, wheat farmers across the country have been tasked to support the federal government policy on Stop the Import Substitution agenda regarding value addition in wheat production. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Muhammad Sabunanonu, gave this indication at the National Wheat Stakeholders Meeting in Kano. Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
From 2016 to June 2020, the wheat import bill, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria, stood at $6 billion, which underscores the need to develop the value chain and reduce its importation enhance food security, create jobs, and conserve the foreign exchange.
That we have a potential.
It is against this background that these key players in wheat production come together to chart a roadmap for economic development.
We must patronize Nigeria. We must support Nigeria. We have been struggling over the past years to access funds to finance wheat.
Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Mohammed Sabanenono, represented at the occasion, says the national production of wheat as at 2020 is 420,000 metric tons, while the consumption stood at 5.26 million metric tons, with enormous gap, and there is need for massive investment to support the right policies to protect the sector.
The Ministry through the wheat value chain has put in place various measures to increase wheat production and productivity as well as reduce the import bill.
There is no better time than now for us to concentrate on wheat.
The workshop has a theme, transforming wheat production in Nigeria through increasing synergies and adopting new technologies. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
This is Panorama, reaching you from our network studios in Abuja. It's time for a break. The news continues shortly.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Thanks for staying with Panorama. Climate crisis like the coronavirus pandemic is a global threat which knows no borders. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said this at a virtual meeting with heads of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization at Debola. Brooklyn Sunday reports.
Climate change, analysts say, acts as a threat multiplier, as its resulting effects can create and aggravate political, economic and social tensions, potentially contributing to cycles of poverty, violence and migration. Antonio Guterres said the Paris Agreement and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development underpin the work of the United Nations and should be central to national decision-making.
Strong engagement of SCO member states.
The UN scribe called for stronger ties with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in tackling climate change and geopolitical tensions amid COVID-19.
The tide is turning. The European Union, Japan, the Republic of Korea, together with more than 110 other countries, have committed to net zero emissions by 2050, and China before 2060. I call on more governments to join this net zero coalition and to align their COVID-19 recovery plans and national determined contributions for climate action with this objective.
The UN chief said regular exchanges between the United Nations and the organization provide ways to enhance cooperation on regional issues and appealed for global solidarity in the wake of the Armenia and Azerbaijan conflicts.
I look forward to your further advocacy and action to end hostilities around the world before the end of this year. When people fight each other, the only winner is the virus.
He commended their firm commitment to inclusive multilateralism and the principles of the United Nations Charter. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has appointed the former Secretary of State for International Development, Anne-Marie Trevelyan, as the UK's international champion on adaptation and resilience for the COP26. presidency. For the next 12 months and beyond, the UK will commit government, institutions and civil society groups in Nigeria and across the globe to support and work with global partners to build back better from COVID-19 and increase climate action. In her role as Adaptation and Resilience Champion, Anne-Marie Trevelyan will engage the governments of the countries most affected by climate change and drive support from the international community and private sector. Anne-Marie Trevelyan's appointment is a part of the UK's overall effort at stepping up global leadership in tackling climate change, including the hosting of the Climate Ambition Summit on 12 December 2020 and COP26 in November 2021. The Climate Ambition Summit will be co-hosted by the UK, UN and France, alongside partners Italy and Chile, to mark the 5th anniversary of the landmark Paris Agreement, and will be an opportunity for world leaders to make ambitious climate commitments. With effect from 2021, only those with first class or second class upper division in their degrees will be employed as teachers. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Sonia Chono, stated this while monitoring the October diet of the Teachers Professional Qualifying Examination organized by the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria this November in Abuja. Olayinka Ojo reports.
In recent times, the teaching profession has become an all-comers affair, which is a challenge in the education sector in Nigeria. And it is in a bid to ensure quality teaching and learning in schools that the Teachers Professional Qualifying Examination is being organized for teachers.
It's a process that everybody must go through.
It helps evaluate if we'll be able to produce good teachers.
With the use of a carrot and stick approach, federal government says it will migrate teachers who are not qualified out of the classroom to make room for qualified persons because they want to achieve better learning outcomes.
You must have a first class or a 2-1 as minimum. And if you have qualifications in other subjects that is not in education, we arrange for a conversion program for you.
Buttressing this, Registrar, Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, Professor Josiah Ajiboye, added that a teacher from Government Day Secondary School, Karu, in person of Okpeifa Olasukomi, is among the top 10 finalists for this year's Global Teacher Award Prize.
The Global Teachers Prize carries a reward of $1 million. They are very enthused, highly enthused that a Nigerian has made it. This is going to be the first time that a Nigerian teacher will be making the first 10.
With the enforcement of government's directive that only qualified teachers will be allowed to teach, an implementation committee which will cover all aspects of teacher resuscitation and revitalization plan is expected to be inaugurated soon. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
It's time now for sports update with Enecho Adiko.
Football-loving Nigerians